Hey guys, welcome back to Future Dimensions 360. As you know, in our last tutorial, we are learning about how to create a recipe finder with React.js. We had left in between that we had created a page in which we will be searching our recipes and listing them down in the form of cards. In today's tutorial, we will be moving forward with the same project and we will be creating another page, and I will show you guys how you can navigate between pages in React.js. And in the second page, we will be fetching the details of recipe and we will be showing them in our web browser. Let's move forward to our code. I had done some changes for saving time. That is, I had created a read more SVG. Inside SVG's folder, I had moved the code of SVG read more. Inside the SVG's H5, similarly, I have moved the code inside typography. H5 and PEEP as well, I had moved both of them inside typography. Now let's try. What we want here is we want this navbar to be as it is in our whole application. How we can do that? We can achieve that is by going on to the navbar. Let's say I'll just say it's fixed. The width is full for that, and backdrop, let me say backdrop blur 3xl. So this is our navbar. You guys can see now my navbar looks much better now. Okay, now let's go to app.css and try to give padding from top, margin from top, or padding from top is much nicer. Let's give it to rem. So that doesn't look nicer. Let's go back and let me say let me do one thing. Let me give padding from top to rem, but for the navbar let me do like this, top dash 0. So that will look much nicer, see, like this. So that's it. Let's close the navbar. Let's close this one. What we have to do here is we want this navbar always, but this container and toast will be there always, but this container should be changed. Right now let's move this container to home page, as I will be creating a new component called main, and inside that one I will be, because that main will be created will be called by default, so that's why I'm giving it name as main, and main.js rfc react functional component. I will be passing some props to it, and those props contains what? Contains this search that I need in this container. Let me cut this one from here and let me call this one inside that, and let's say const and destructuring of our search equals to props. Okay, so I will call this main now anytime whenever I want. So here what we want here, let's import few things. For that one, what I want is I want to install React Router DOM. Okay, sudo npm I react dash router dash DOM. That's a library that will help you to navigate along the pages. Okay, any page you want to navigate. Okay, so I had installed it. Let me move it down. Let's import few things from this library. First one is browse writer, browse browse. Let me say route. For example, the first one is routes routes from React Router DOM. We will be needing routes, then we will be needing route, and we will be needing another one that is called browse router. Okay, browse router as, let's say, router. So let me cut my application and let's paste router here first, and inside that one my application will work. So that router will actually identify my routes. Now first of all, what I have to do here is I have to create what? Routes. These routes I can create conditionally as well. later on when you are working with logins and all that stuff. So you can get files, profiles here in the stage variables from your Redux. We will be learning Redux in the coming tutorial series as well. I will show you guys later on all that details. But for the meantime, just see, like we had browse router, we had imported that one, and we had wrapped our application with browse router, so we can do browsing in it. Inside routes, we will be passing each route manually by passing the path variable in it and element variable in it. Okay, and this element will contain, in our case, main, and it will be main component. It will be called as component, and we will pass search as a props to this component. Okay, so like this. Let's go back to our browser and let's say sell it. Okay, so my main component is working directly now. Okay, so in case I want recipe detail, RECIPE recipe dash details and then full colon and ID. In case you want to click on any recipe, you should go to this link with ID of that recipe. That will take you where? That will take you to recipe details. Let's create a new folder called recipe details, and inside that component let's create a new file called recipe details.js, RFC React functional component, and I will say I am a recipe detail. I am a recipe detail for the meantime. So let's say I will call instead of main this component recipe detail. It's not appearing. Let's copy this one. Sorry, I write recipe. Very sorry. It should be recipe. Let's rename it to recipe. Okay, and yeah, now it will appear RECIPE recipe details. So once this link is called, it will go to recipe details. How? Let's go back to our shared components. Inside there is recipe card and there is an href. As soon as you will click, you will go to this link. Okay, href will be dynamic for both sides. Either it's an image or it's an object that will say recipe dot, what is the ID? We can say recipe dot ID. Okay, so let's copy this anchor tag here and paste it here. If we click on h5 tag, it will do the same. If we will click on image, it will take us to the same route. Either we click on the read more button, it will take us to the same route. Let's go back to our application. See, I am clicking this paragraph P. It's not doing anything. Once I will click on reload, my link is changed and I am in the recipe component now. Okay, so let's say I will make it like this. This recipe component, I will say class w equals to screen and h equals to screen. Okay, flex dash call, and then I will say justify center, and I will say I am a recipe. Okay, let me hit this one and then let me see if I can see this in my elements. See, I am a recipe appearing but with white background color. I believe. Let's close this one and let's say I will say bg dash black. So this is bg dash black appearing, and I will say wrap it with h1 tag and then h1 closing tag, and inside that one I will say I am a recipe. Still now the text is not appearing. Let's see where the text gone for us. It's not appearing. Let's remove this flex call and let me see where is it. Actually, this text, it's actually on top. So what we have to do here is py minus 24. Let's give it 24. So now it's here. Now let's remove the big background screen. So it will look, I am recipe here. Pretty good now. Much better now. So we have to show this recipe inside our what? Inside our this tag. First of all, let's try to get this ID. We will be needing that ID. What we have to do here is const. We will be needing this ID by restructuring what? ID from where? Use params hook. We will be needing a use params hook that is available inside React router DOM that will give us that ID. Let me show you guys console.log. Not here. We will be using use effect hook for that. Use effect, inside use effect I will be calling the API to get the details of the recipe. So let's say if I got the ID, just console log for the ID here. Console.log what? ID. Let's see if we are able to receive that ID or no inside our console. You guys can see I am able to get the ID here. So the next thing is we have to create a state variable recipe details comma set recipe details equals to use state hook. Okay, inside this one what we want here is we want a div, okay, that will tell us that class name w dash full, okay, h dash full and flex dash row. Okay, but that div will work only when we will have recipe details. If we don't have recipe detail, no need to show this div. So we will use shift operator for that in this way. Okay, so let's move forward and try to create our Axios client. Axios call Axios client dot get. What we will be getting? We will be getting our recipe details by using this recipes and then ID. Recipes slash and then the ID for the recipe. Okay, but we have to verify if ID is there. If there is no ID, no need to call this API. Dot then will show us the response, and inside this response we will be passing a callback. And let's go to our main container and then catch. We will be passing the same, so it's better to pass it like this. Let's copy paste this one here to save our time, so you guys can see if the response is successful. Let me just comment down this one and let's say console.log. What I have to do, response.data. Let's check first if it's appearing or no. Let's go back to our browser. Toast is not defined, and I will say toast is defined now. So let's go back to our inspector, and you guys can see the recipe object is appearing. Okay, RECPIA recipe. So I will say dot recipe, and it should be set recipe detail. So we will have our recipe detail in our recipe object, and these are all the details of recipe. Okay, first of all we have to set up an image for recipe. How we can set up? Let me go ahead, let me cross this one. We will go on with this. First of all we will set up an image. So let's say we have div, and that is like this, and this div is actually containing what? It will be containing class name w dash full, okay, and h dash auto. Okay, and I will say imge image. Let's copy this image from recipe card what we had copied here, but this time we will not be passing like an h. We will say h dash auto, give it auto height, and this one will be recipe details dot image url, recipe detail dot title. So this is giving us full recipe like that. We will be creating another div to show the rest of the things. So see our halfway, we are halfway here. So instead of t, let's make it like this, and let's give it p minus 24 from everywhere. So it's much better now. So we have an image for our recipe. Now we will be passing a title here. So title will be, for example, let's go to typography, create new file called h1.js. h5 we will be copying, and we'll close this one, and it will be h1, and text will be 3xl straight away. And here in the this one I will say h1, and h1 will contain what? Recipe details dot title. Okay, h1 is not defined. Let's import h1 here as well. Import h1 tag. h1 is changed or no? Oh, Siri, it's hq. I make it h1, make it h1 as well, and this one also h1. Let's close this one and import h1 from shared typography, and then h1. That's it. So you can see Fatouche salad is appearing now. Okay, so the next one is, for example, I was having, let's go here and let's try to copy this, and let's try to paste it here. Let me paste it here, and let's try to format it. So we need publisher as well. Let's show the publisher in h5 here, recipe detail. Under h1, let's move it to h5. Let's import h5 also, and then copy this publisher here, and we will paste it here. After that, there are steps in the form of array. Source is there, we will later on see. Title we use also serving and quick time. We will show the serving and quick time as well. Now let's say what's Gabby cooking. By the way, we will say this one text dash left, for example, and we will pass here in the row, for example, gap dash 4. So this one, and then now I will be using timer. Let's copy svg timer svg. Okay, icon, I will be using icon svg free pick. Let me copy this, copy not this one, let's make it white in color. White, not white, black is much better. Black, at least we can see the timer. By the way, let's download this svg. Let's open this svg in our browser, and let's copy this one here, and let me save this svg. We will save it here inside svgs. I will say new file called timer svg.js. okay, rfc react functional component, and I will be copying this timer svg. Control C from here to this timer svg. Okay, yeah, we will not be needing this. That's it. Yeah, this one also we don't need, so we will be needing this timer svg. Let's make like this div. Okay, and another div. Inside this div I will be showing what class name, or let's make not div, let's make this p as a paragraph, the big P what we had created. Inside this one I will say timer svg, and inside timer svg I will say, for example, recipe detail dot, what we had identified here is svg cooking time. Okay, so let's go back and you guys can see very big svg. Let's make it let's give it a class name to make it smaller, or make it 20 pixel, and width as well 20 pixel is enough for us, and we want it in a row. So for making it as a row, what we have to do here is we have to pass class name that I told you guys in case we needed it. We will be passing that one, flex dash row and gap dash 2. So you guys can see the timer is 165. It's in minutes, so we will be passing as minutes 165. It's 65 only from where this one is appearing. I'm not sure. I think there for this Fatush it's 165, not 65. Let's copy and paste this one, and copy this one and paste it here to identify the timer exactly what is that. It's 165 minute. That's fine. So 165 minutes. So let me write minute as well. Okay. After that, I want one thing more. I want to have div, and that div should be closed after this p, because I want to show serving here as well. Okay, and that will be in the form of row as well. Class flex dash row and gap dash, I'll say 6. And now what I want is I want to copy this and this one. I'll say PEO people, and then this will be, for example, servings, 4 people, 5 people, how many people you can serve. Now I want to change this svg as well. So that svg I will say user or avatar or anything. You can make like many user, not available. Let's go back, let's search it in Google, we will find out much better. Multi user svg. Yeah, now you guys can see we will be finding a lot in svg repo. We will find a lot of multi users. Yeah, like this is better. Let me copy this one for the meantime, and let's open it in our Chrome. Very big svg. Let's copy this one and let's create another svg called multi-user svg. multi-user svg.js rfc react functional component. Inside functional component I will be passing this svg. Okay, so don't need this one. Again, this I need 20 pixel, and height as well 20 pixel, and this also I don't need. So that's it. Let's import this multi-user svg in our recipe detail as well. Multi-user svg. Let's go back to our React project. You guys can see people icon is appearing. You can change that as well, whatever you want. It's up to you. So I'll do one thing more. I will pass here flex dash call and gap dash 4 as well. Like this. It's looking more nicer. Let me make it 2. So you guys can see my detail. Now I have to pass just the steps. So the step will be like, I will be passing the steps like this. For example, this one, quantity, unit and description, quantity, unit and description. So that one, what I have to do here is I have to copy this straight away and I have to paste this here. But this should be always in single always one row will represent one step. So that is recipe details dot, what will be the steps, ingredients. I will say ingredients dot map. Okay, it will be a mapping function. I will say ingredients instead of ingredient. I will say ingredient, and inside that one I will be taking this as a parameter. Okay, now what I want here is, first of all, I will say flex dash call. For example, the first one is call, and then copy this flex row as well inside it. Okay, now I don't need this one, really. I don't need this svg here also. So first of all, I'll say ingredient, and then inside ingredient I will say quantity. Okay, quantity, and then unit. Okay, and then I will say description, quantity. Let's remove this, no need this as well. Okay, it will look nicer in this way. No need to add gap and flex row. I don't need classes as well because I'm not using multiple things here, like I don't need icons. So ingredients dot unit, I will say quantity x, and then ingredient dot unit and description. That's it. I don't need this as well, and I don't need this minutes as well here. So let's go back to our browser. You guys can see 1x whole wheat pita, 1x tablespoon paprika. So let's make it flex dash row, not call, it's better, and gap -2. Okay, yeah, 1x whole wheat pita pocket cut into cubes, 1 tablespoon paprika. These are all the points. Or you can make it as order list as well. That's more nicer if you want to make it as order list. Let me make order list. Okay, and let's say I will make it as order list, and yep, that will be more nicer, and it should be an li item. So you guys can see it's an li item. OLLI in tailwind will be much better. List styles, and I will say list dash decimal and order list. Let me say UL even, it's fine, but OL will show me decimal list dash decimal class name, and this one will be better. So let's go forward and let's say UL list decimal, and LI will be our LI item, list decimal, and yeah, that's better, because let's remove this as well. Let's remove this P as well, and let's remove this as well. Px -4, yeah, and Px -4, we will be seeing Mx -4, that's more better. Mx -8 will be more better. 6 will be more better. Yeah, yep, that's it. See, first step is 1x whole wheat papita rice. So these are all the steps what you have to do. In case you are seeing like it's not nicer here, you can move it down as well here. It's up to you guys, literally it's up to you. So I can move that as well, h-uto auto, if I will make it auto. And if I want to move this ul and li list like this, I will move it down, and I will say like this fragment, and this one, and on top of it this my div elements that I have created few minutes before. I'll just copy them here, and I'll copy this div up on top of it. So fragment is not defined, fragment is not defined. Now fragment is defined. And text should be, for example, I will say text dash left and py minus 12. So you guys can see all the detail for the recipe is appearing here now. So let's go back to our main page. Let me try to find out something with chicken. So let's open this chicken soup. You guys can see the recipe of chicken soup is appearing here. Now let's go back. Let's try to open salad and let's try to find this Chinese shrimp salad. You guys can see the recipe of this shrimp salad. This is how you can create a very basic and simple React web application. We haven't worked exactly in detail with designs with Tailwind. I will actually bring the complete series related to Tailwind, and you guys will understand the Tailwind in detail in that with front-end design, CSS designs with React functionalities. But here let's go back and summarize it what we have done. First of all, we have created an application in which we are using some routes to navigate between the routes, between the pages, or we can browse between multiple pages. This router is nothing but just a browse router from a React router DOM library. You can install that one. You can import browse router as router, up to you, whatever name you want to put. Then routes and run route. In your app div, first of all, you want navbar, in which you will be searching what? You will be searching your recipes. So I make it centralized. That's why I kept it outside the routes. If you want your navbar to be inside the routes, it's up to you. Navbar should be different for each page. That's totally depends upon your scenarios. Then inside the routes, I had passed two routes. One is normal homepage route, and the second one is our recipe details route with ID as a parameter. Then that route, whenever it is called, the home route main component is being called, and whenever the route for recipe detail is called, recipe detail component is being called. Okay, let's go ahead a bit to our main component. So in our main component, what we have done here is we had created a React functional component and we had called a container, and we had passed a search parameter through the props. That search is actually a state variable that we are passing in our navbar as well. Let's check the navbar. In our header, we have a navbar. It's nothing but just a navbar in which we have logo, we have search SVG and an input. That input takes search as a parameter, value as a search, and set search will be as on change event. We can set the search of that search state variable. So that state variable gone inside our main component. From there it will go to our container component. Inside container component, we will be setting up recipes in state variables by using use effect hook. As soon as the search value is changed, we will be calling our recipes link or URL by using Axios client. Axios client we had created inside utils helpers. There is an Axios client called server.js. Inside that one, we had created a brand new Axios client in which we are passing a base URL for our server. That base URL is placed inside the constants.json in the utils as well. And then we will be passing headers, some headers, and I had created a sample header for bearer token as well in case you guys need it. And then we had used like inspector for response, interceptor for response. Like if that takes two parameters, first function is if the results are successful and the second function is if the results are failed. Okay, so we are moving forward with toast. Toast is a library that gives you very nice messages in case we will pass wrong link. For example, let's go to our container and try to pass wrong link. You guys will see that what will happen. So let's go back to our main home page. Sorry, this is Flowbyte, and we didn't change the link, that's why it's taking. See, this is an error. This is actually toast error messages. You can change the place of this error message also from top right to center bottom, right bottom, left bottom, top right, top center, top left, anywhere you want. So this is how you can call the API. Once the API result is successful, we will be setting up the API in the results of recipes in the state variable. Other than that, we will be showing error messages. And then as soon as we have recipes, this AND operator said that as soon as we have recipes, we will map them in a recipe card. Recipe card is created in a shared folder, one recipe card that takes a div. Inside div, first we will be passing an image, and then we will be passing an h5 title, then publisher, and then read more button. All of these, as soon as you will click, it will take you to recipe detail route. Recipe detail route is actually a recipe detail component. Recipe detail component will take an ID from the params and then call the API to get the details of that recipe, and we will just patch them inside our browser, or we will show them in our browser in certain ways. You can make it more you can make the UI more understandable, more nicer, more animated, up to you guys in your research. But this is the very basic and very normal how you can create the recipe finder application. I will be pushing this code to GitHub and putting the link in the video description, the GitHub link publicly. The code will be available to you guys in your access. In case of any question, any query, you can comment us in the same videos, or you can reach us to our mailbox as well. See, I hope that's it. You guys have understand it in detail. So see you soon, inshallah, in the coming tutorial series of React Redux. We will be implementing React Redux. Stay tuned. See you in the next video. Take care. Goodbye.